All right, I'm gonna review these two books that I've recently been speed reading, and I noticed a couple things in here I want to mention. This guy is a Yogananda yoga teacher, and he's going through the science and what he calls the science of religion. And he's got the foreword by Goswami, but he makes the classic critical error, the Western error, and this is the error that Eddie Oshins was trying to correct when Eddie Oshins was teaching at or did his research at Stanford Linear Accelerator Center. So the this Amit Goswami, he was a quantum physics professor, but he also he used the phrase quantum psychology, but Eddie Oshins coined the phrase quantum psychology, and Oshins was upset that the other scientists didn't take his non-commutative core teaching to heart as to what that means in quantum psychology. So here you have the core secret of this book is he's saying that there's perfect synchronization as they do forming a liquid crystal. They align exactly in the same way, in exactly the same phase, like rowers stroking in perfect rhythm and in exactly the same frequency. This perfectly coordinated synchrony turns all the chlorophyll molecules into a kind of biological superconductor, thereby enabling super efficient transfer of sunlight quantum. This phenomenon is called resonant energy transfer. So the problem with this whole concept right here, this is the core concept of his book, but he gets it wrong because the superconductor is from the Josephson effect, so that there has to be a space-time symmetry breaking, and this occurs at the quantum non-local level. So he's really close, because he starts out the chapter with he calls it the energy verse, are simultaneous, existing in two interpenetrating realms. And so he quotes Yogananda saying the vibratory and transcendent are only figuratively above and below. They are in fact superimposed on one another. So the problem is that this superimposition can't be physically seen, and so this whole concept of phase synchronization, he doesn't understand non-commutative phase, because he's saying they're the same frequency, but they're not the same. See, the problem is they're not the same phase, because the phase has to be a non-commutative phase. So the timing is inverse to the frequency, but the phase in space-time is not symmetric. It's a symmetric. It's a space-time symmetry breaking. And what that means is that the phase is a it's that overlapping, but you can't visualize it because it's it's actually a fourth dimension. So it's like a sphere. The Klein bottle is the only thing that will describe that in which is what the full lotus yoga position is, also the Klein bottle. So the quantum non-locality, it's at a zero point, but it's the fifth dimension as time frequency. So the 0 point as the fourth dimension has a fifth dimension hidden within it. And this is also called a flat torus. That's a non-commutative torus. So you can think of a two-dimensional flat torus, but it has a twist in it. So like the Mobius strip, the other thing is like a perceptual illusion where you can see two different perspectives at the same time. That, like the Escher paintings, capture that illusion. So the synchronization is not the same phase, but the non-commutative phase inherently cannot be visualized. So that the space-time, the direction of time as a 4D space-time is created from this fifth dimension of non-commutative time frequency. So it's a pure realm of time and frequency. Okay, so because he gets that core concept wrong, then he's missing the whole secret of the non-Western teaching. And that's why, Western civilization is actually it's the opposite of the non-Western teaching. So here we have somebody who was trained in the non-Western traditional teaching, and this is an excellent, really excellent book, and he details how Haidong, was the master of the two-finger handstand, so that he starts out this book going through the various different masters. So the Haidong was the teacher of Yan Chen, who was the teacher of Chen Yilin. He got first healed by Yan Chen, and so the thing here is, he says that what happened with Shaolin is that it became just a demonstration training, so that it's a performance, and they're not trained in the real energy internal training. And that's why Haidong, he left Shaolin, because it wasn't the real training anymore. Once they started doing wushu at Shaolin, so the Yan Chen was trained at Shaolin from Haidong before he so the other thing is, so like Joe Rogan, he makes fun of these traditional animal style of Kung Fu training, but this teacher's whole point is that Wong Kiew kid, it's like, unless you're doing the real traditional training, and you have to have a lineage where you're being trained directly by another teacher, then you're not going to learn the real internal energy training. And he also said that what makes the Shaolin Kungfu different than like the Japanese training is this: the Japanese, they were mercenary assassins as samurais, but the Kung Fu is based on the meditation of either the Taoists in Tai Chi or the Buddhist monks, and it's just for self-defense, and then it's based on compassion or the unconditional love from the heart, and that's actually a much higher skill level, because you have to before you do any damage to somebody else, you have to feel it first inside your own body, and then you have to heal your own body from any damage that would be done to somebody else. And so somebody asked him about isometric. They said, well, how come? They said, how is this isometric? How is that different than Kung Fu training? And he says, it's the failure to realize the great difference between mind and energy training and physical training. And he says he doesn't know enough about isometric exercise. Well, guess what? The isometric is the Western, that's the symmetry. This person's projecting a symmetric spatial concept onto the non-Western training. It's the same problem as this book, the same exact problem. And in fact, these so-called isometric they're not. They're complementary opposites. So that the frequency, you can have an isospectral frequency, but it's not isometric. And so the space-time, the time frequency is inherently curved in space as the phase difference, and the phase difference is the access through the mind as the mind energy. That's the virtual photons. So it's the non-local energy from the future. And so the whole point is when you focus your mind, you're doing it on the complementary opposite part of the body. So you focus like your left hand to your right foot, and vice versa, and the back with the front and the top and the down. And this is Eddie Oshins' big point, was that like the outside of the hand is yang, and then it faces the yin lower body, and then the inside of the hand is yin, and it faces the yang upper body. And that's what you do when you do the Dirac dance in quantum physics, when they explain quantum entanglement through the Dirac dance. It's the same thing as the silk reeling exercise in Tai Chi. And so that the secret is not isometric symmetry, but and I, like I said before, I saw Western teachers trying to explain the Yiquan martial arts, internal martial arts, based on the symmetry of the body parts, assuming it's an isometric exercise, when in fact it's the whole secret is a complementary opposites. So we can see how this core concept is deep within the West. And then what makes this martial arts different is that the meditation focuses more on the Shen, or the spirit level. And so when you get to the spirit level, that's when you really get to this non-commutative time frequency. And so he says that what his his training, it focuses on visualization more. Right here, the timing is achieved. He says the eye movement is through the one finger Zen, so you get this visualization. But listening to sound is not emphasized in my school, but can be achieved through meditation. So, like, when he talks about Hai Dong as being, he talks about other masters too, where they're so powerful that even though they don't have any muscle, and this is impossible for Westerners to believe. But they do more meditation. So Hai Dong, he never slept. He just meditated all night long. And that was the true secret of his 2-finger handstand and his 1-finger handstand. And it was due to this internal listening that so you have a listening that you can't visualize, because the listening is these virtual photons that can't be observed. But we can listen faster than the time frequency uncertainty. So that's assumed in Western physics. And that's the secret of internal listening, is that since it's faster than Fourier or time frequency uncertainty, therefore you can resonate with this virtual photon energy, and that's the true power. So what they call it ting, when you do it standing up and have your eyes open, you can still listen as what they call ting in Tai Chi, but it's not emphasized. See, this is what he's saying, that in meditation, that's the emphasis is on the listening as the true secret. And so that's all I'm going to say. Right here, Equan, talking in terms of force vectors. I'm not sure about what the author wishes to say. Do not just talk about Qi, do Qi and get the practical result. So again, a Westerner is thinking, when they're talking about vectors, they're assuming that you have to have a symmetry based on the vectors have to be when you have the imaginary phase that's non-commutative, the vector as the magnitude has to be squared to get the energy intensity. So you square the amplitude as the magnitude, and therefore the imaginary phase cancels out. But the whole secret of the force as Qi is that imaginary phase does not cancel out, because it's negative time, negative frequency, and reverse time. And therefore you can listen to it directly without observing it. And that's why it has to be just a practice, because it's something that you can't see, it's something that you can't talk about. You just have to do the meditation and get the results. But the reason Westerners don't understand it is because of this deep symmetry mathematics in Western science based on symmetry. That's even, unless you really, really study the relativistic quantum math, then you won't be able to see through this deep religious concept in Western science. That's also the basis for the entropy that civilization is causing on Earth right now. The destruction of life on Earth is due to this deep symmetry concept of containing infinity as a spatial rest frame of zero time whereas time is actually an eternal motion of the force as the chi energy. So this is, yeah, he got the same Qigong Master of the Year award that Chun Yilin got from FEP Chow. And she was the one I saw. She was the